This episode is brought to you in part by Exoterra. If you're as passionate about reptiles and amphibians as I am, you know that quality matters. I use Exoterra products on all my reptile and amphibian enclosures, which is why I'm excited to be partnering with them. From naturalistic decor to innovative lighting and enclosures of all sizes, Exoterra has everything you need for your cold-blooded companions. Exoterra. Make your reptiles feel at home. This episode contains a paid sponsorship placement for True Chroma by Faunalux. Lighting reptiles isn't just about brightness or giving UVB, it's about illuminating the world that animals actually thrive in. Introducing True Chroma by Faunalux, a premium, revolutionary LED spotlight purpose-built for animals. Faunalux has worked with lighting experts and biologists to develop something totally new. Reptile Vision Technology, a bespoke single-source chip delivering high levels of visible light and proportional UVA1. That means your animals can get true full-color vision for the first time. Tried and tested by zoos, vets, and passionate keepers worldwide, True Chroma is now available at fauna-lux.com/expertidiot10 for 10% off your order today. True Chroma from Faunalux. Educated by nature. This episode is brought to you in part by Unlimited Exotic Pets. Every day is Veranda Day for Nick Lillis, and it shows. At Unlimited Exotic Pets, Nick produces high-quality monitor lizards with a deep commitment to ethical care practices and top-tier nutrition. These aren't just pets. They're responsibly bred, ethically raised animals. Whether you're looking for a new companion, starting a breeding project, or anything in between, Nick has you covered. Unlimited Exotic Pets, keeping and breeding quality without limitations. Love reptiles? Don't miss this. If you're passionate about reptiles, amphibians, and everything cold-blooded, Reptiles magazine is a must-have. Each issue is packed with expert care tips, stunning photography, and the latest news in the reptile world. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or just starting your reptile journey, this magazine has something for you. Subscribe today and stay informed on the best ways to care for your scaly friends. For only $14.99 a year, you can step outside your algorithm and get exposure to things that you wouldn't normally see or learn about. My family reads Reptiles magazine, and you should too. Visit subscribe.reptilesmagazine.com to get started. This is the Expert and the Idiot podcast. If you like the show and you'd like to support us, there's a link to our Patreon in the description below. Some benefits include getting access to new episodes up to a month in advance. There's also links to USARK and USARK Florida. If you're not already a member, please sign up. Enjoy the show. All right, welcome to episode 76 of The Expert and the Idiot. Today we're going to change things up a little bit. We're going to, initially I was going to do this solo, but I thought, you know what, for this AMA, this Ask Me Anything, I thought there's one guy that I want to do this with. There's one person that is, he's got the sense of humor. We talk all the time. And that guy wasn't available, but we got Phil to come in. I'm kidding, Phil. It's a joke.
That was a good one. That was good.
So thanks for coming back, Phil. This is your return to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate just inviting little old me out here to ask you some questions that really other people asked you.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and and we can discuss stuff, and it can be kind of topics, topics of discussion, and there can be some back and forth there, and I'm hoping that we can do this sort of on a regular basis, unless it's abysmal and nobody likes it, then it won't happen again. But we'll see.
Time will tell.
Yeah, time will tell. So what's going on with you with your collection? What have you recently acquired? What's exciting you? What's fun in the collection?
In terms of updates, I got a little bit of stuff going on, not so much snake wise. I just pulled another egg sac from one of my tarantulas. I got a purple earth tiger egg sac, so I've got that incubating right now. I've got a gravid OBT that I've got in my incubator as well. And then I've still got a bunch of cobalt blue tarantula slings from the sac that I pulled whenever I pulled that lividus sac, and just kind of working with those, raising a bunch of those up. I got a bunch of new tarantulas, some undescribed species, basically some Asian dirt spiders, stuff that I really like working with. So that's really exciting.
What does that mean, undescribed? Like they don't have scientific names?
So, like, I don't know if you've ever seen it's a scientific name, but instead of having a species name, it has like SP, like species, blah, blah, blah. So like this is like a Chilobrachys, okay, species Saraburi. It's undescribed, right? Because it doesn't have a species name. It says species Saraburi. So I got a Cereopagopus species Bachma. I've got Ornithoctinae species Uthaithani, some Cereopagopus species Krang Kraken, just some cool odds and ends that I really look forward to raising up, and then collaborating with some other individuals. Hopefully see if we can make that stuff more common in the hobby, easier to find.
What didn't you pick something up today?
Wasn't today. Well, are you talking about snakes now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So today I am helping a friend kind of rescue a spotted python for like foster it for a little bit. I'll hold it for a little bit and then bring it to the vet. It'll get checked out and then hopefully get adopted out. So I have that in quarantine in the other room. So she's just chilling.
How old is it?
Maybe 2. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any idea where it came from?
It came from a local place, like a local reptile store that's actually closing down near me. I'm not sure who produced it or what the backstory is. I just know it's kind of a finicky snake, and it needed a safe place for a little bit. So,
why is it finicky?
I don't know. That's what I was told. It's a fussy eater, but I mean, we'll kind of see. I haven't really interacted with it. I don't plan on bothering it too much. Just kind of, doing what I need to do to help out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Does that concern you at all, bringing in an animal into your collection that could potentially have some ailment?
Yeah, that's why it's in quarantine in the other room.
Yeah.
So like it's got all its own stuff, all its own supplies or whatever. I work with it last on a different day. As long as you take the necessary precautions, it's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty easy to kind of mitigate that risk as long as you know what you're looking for and you take the necessary precautions. Like I would never bring it in this room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's 2 rooms away from here. So.
Wow. God, you're such a baller, dude. So many rooms.
I don't know about that.
All right. Well, you want to? Do you want to talk about your short-tail python?
Yeah, I picked up a short-tail python from Cold-Blooded Earth, just because you want to help them out right now in their time of need, and it really fits into kind of my project. So I picked up a GoldenEye Het T positive male from 2023. So he's in a different quarantine location right now, in a different room. And after he kind of gets through quarantine, he'll be right in here, and I'll be able to plug him into projects in a couple of years. Looking for like T positive GoldenEye stuff, T positive magpie stuff, all that goodness.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely devastating. The passing of Nick and yeah, that's awesome that you were able to get that from Kendra, and I'm happy to see that the community has been so willing to help out with the GoFundMe and picking up animals and things like that. It's hopefully that helps as much as it can for her right now.
Yeah, totally. A lot of people have really stepped up, and that's obviously what you want to see in a situation like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful snake, though. Absolutely gorgeous snake.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's pretty chill too. I didn't really, you never know. Sometimes you open the box, they can be a little spicy. You know how it is. And he was pretty chill. He's a good dude. I haven't interacted with him too much, but seems pretty curious. He ate good sized rat yesterday, 2 days ago maybe, and yeah, he's just kind of hanging out right now. So
is that the rat that you said he exploded?
Yeah, he cooked it pretty good. He really came for it, and I was like, wow, all right, dude. Wow. Yeah, he popped it, ate everything, and I was like, perfect, dude. This one's gonna be a winner.
Oh man, what did that smell like?
Honestly, not too bad. I thought it would be a lot worse, but I got a bunch of fans moving air in that room, and it really wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I've had them pump before, and it just smells like somebody. I don't know, like it smells like
what you think it would smell like.
Yeah, it smells like somebody rubbed like raw liver under my nose. Like it was just like the nastiest.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. No, totally.
Disgusting. And it takes a lot to make me like feel queasy, but that made me like kind of gag a little bit.
Yeah, it was only like a medium, like smallish medium-ish kind of rat. It wasn't like an extra large or something. So
yeah,
not much.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, that's the worst.
I know.
All right, man. Well, you ready to get into it?
Yeah. So we got you got a bunch of questions. I think we chose about 15 to kind of see what we could get to. Obviously, there were a bunch of questions. I don't know how many we got, but I know it was a large number, and we really had to kind of filter through and
yeah.
Because a lot of questions were asking similar stuff as well.
That is true.
So
kind of duplicate.
Something to kind of keep in mind. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of read whoever asked the question, and then the question. So Go Cougs Up Sounders asked morph or nature. So I'm thinking this individual is asking about like morphs or wild type animals.
Yeah, so that's Lance, who's on the Discord and everything. He's a Patreon member.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, for me personally, I like wild types. I think I've probably said that a million times. In the beginning, I liked morphs, and I still do like morphs, and I like looking at morphs. But it's so hard for me to focus on what morph I like best that I kind of, I end up getting turned off by the amount of choices that are available, whether it be, short tails or, boa imperator or, take your pick. There's just so many morphs there's so many cool morphs. And then it's like, you could see yourself just getting absolutely like if I started getting like morph short tail pythons, I could see myself just going completely off the rails.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't focus. I wouldn't know what direction to go in. And I'd just be getting anything and everything that grabbed my eye. So getting, going with something that's line bred or, like getting the blood pythons, the one from Kara that I got, and I've got another one coming from her, and I've got one, I have a female as well from Tim Bailey, and I'm really happy that I got one from Tim and one from Kara because they both, so the one is the one from Kara is Martyr and Pro Exotics.
Mm-hmm.
And the one from, and I think that Pro Exotics animal came from Matt Minatola. That's who Kara got it from. And then I've got my martyr line from Tim, and that one is a lot darker, you know, so it's a very different sort of expression from similar lines, you know, and it's just kind of cool to see that very light and then sort of a darker phase. And yeah, so yeah, personally, I like wild types. I like line bred animals. You know, localities are cool. I think that there's, I don't know, I like seeing like the very best version of what the animal occurring out in nature is.
I mean, I totally can appreciate both. I think that there's a lot of, there's a lot of truth to what you said. I think that, sometimes wild type stuff is just, it's the coolest, I don't have that many morphs. Really, it's more so the GoldenEye stuff that I really like, and some pollen stuff. And that's kind of what I was going to segue into, is like, if you're going to pick that morph route, a lot of times people will pick a lane and kind of stay in it, or pick a couple lanes and stay in those couple lanes. I really kind of am leaning into the GoldenEye stuff, just because I think that stuff is sweet. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I appreciate the line bred short tailed stuff too. Really all the short tail stuff I appreciate. But you can kind of do the best of both. Like my Taiwan beauty snakes are non-morph. I think they're gorgeous, just the wild type. I wouldn't want to morph those. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Are there any, and you're big into Nerodia as well. Are there any morphs with Nerodia?
I'm not aware of any. I know that Chris Montross was looking at like a ghost type potential heritable situation with some Nerodia. I think he's got something on Morph Market for like some darker stuff, but not that I'm aware of. I only have locality Nerodia stuff. I don't have any. I wouldn't say morph stuff, because it's like mine are F2, and I think one of them is an F1. So some of them are like patternless, but that's like occurring in nature, So it's like the patternless with some of the scrubs. Like you see that quite commonly, in nature. It's like that type deal.
Yeah. Like the diamond pythons too, that are reduced pattern.
Yeah. You just, because like the environment will just select for it, you know what I mean? And it just kind of works out, and they do fine.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's wild. Water snakes are wild.
Now, so you're into GoldenEye and pollen, and like,
and I like the T positive stuff too. I like the T positive stuff. I kind of sprinkle that in.
And how did you get kind of like zeroed in on those instead of something else?
Have you ever seen a GoldenEye blood python?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty cool looking. That's why. Yeah, they're okay. My favorite. They're sweet. You can do so much with that. It's like the best base morph. You can build off it. You can, the magpies are sweet, especially when they're like really pink, like the super pink stuff with the blushing on the faces and like the different head stamps. It's just like a lot to it, a lot of variability, and you can take that GoldenEye in several different directions.
What about what is matrix?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I wish I had a better answer. I don't know. It's another gene. Like, absolutely.
I mean,
gene.
Yeah, I need to actually like look into that, because I know I've seen matrix animals and I'm like, God, that's an incredible looking matrix.
It does
animal.
Cool stuff with pattern, like for sure, man. I just, I don't have any matrix animals. I don't work with any matrix stuff. It's not my neck of the woods, not my cup of chocolate milk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. I like nature, and that's just me.
Cool. Okay, so this is from IQ Exotics. If you could
IQ Exotics, who is that?
That's Ish.
I know.
was like, what, dude? If you could start over, what would you do differently? In parentheses, caging, lighting, etc.
Oh man. Geez Louise, what a loaded question. If I could start over, I'd probably go, immediately to my cage building guy, who I have a great relationship with now. I don't know. I guess, one big mistake that I made in the beginning was I didn't cook my branches and stuff before putting them in the enclosures.
Mm-hmm.
And that ended up with insects in the enclosures, some of them like wood boring insects.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a nightmare because I pulled everything out and I had I soaked everything and then cooked everything. And yeah, so that was kind of, that was not a fun experience. And if I could do it over again, I'd make sure that I thoroughly cook everything before putting it in. I tried the bioactive route as well. That went poorly. I don't know if it was because the cages weren't properly ventilated. I couldn't keep the plants alive that I put in. So it was like just a lot of wasted time and effort. It was a lot of weekends where, I'd wake up on my day off and be like, all right, time to scrape all the substrate out of 8 enclosures and put new fresh coconut in and start over, and it was like I made myself suffer a lot more than I ended up settling on a more simplistic route where I just went cocoa block and, cooked branches and then introduce some springtails. I like having springtails in there.
Yeah, I think that's that's basically how I do it for my more productive species. Is I actually use cypress mulch from Home Depot, but I'll cook it or freeze it, same type deal, and I sterilize everything or use PVC or plastic, and then just kind of throw some springtails. Or actually, what I've been doing, and Dr. Loafman does this, is he does this with his false water cobras. Put a bunch of super worms in there and they'll eat poop for sure.
Really?
Yeah, dude. So you get 1,000 super worms, right? And you put a decent number in your large productive animal enclosures. So my false water cobra, and then my Crebo above him. When I first put them in there, I put probably about 100 to 150 super worms in each 6x2x2. And if you miss a poop or something, you'll just see all the bugs on it, eating the poop, and okay, I'll just go over there, scoop it. And it's really helpful if you are really busy or you miss one or you're going to be away from your animals for a couple days. That was a really cool trick that Dr. Loafman kind of talked about. I don't know if it was on his podcast or he said it in person at Colubrid Fest, one of the two.
Are those, now they turn into beetles, right?
Yeah, they do. And the beetles will do the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
And are the beetles harmless or can they munch away on an animal?
Yeah, I haven't had any problems. Again, my large colubrids don't try to eat them. They just kind of coexist.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, you know what another thing is regarding lighting is I started out on the with the deep heat projectors, and I was sort of obsessively getting there. I had them on a dial, and I would dim them down and get the hot spot to peak at 88 to 90 degrees daily.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty obsessive over that. And they would just, run all night long. And I ended up just switching to all 25 watt basking bulbs, and they turn off and they give a hot spot, and that hot spot one day might be 86 degrees and the next day maybe it'll be 97 degrees. And then everything turns off at night, and so there's more variability now in what I had before. And so I kind of embracing not being in control to a certain extent was sort of it's kind of freeing to just let it do its own thing. And especially, now keeping the diamond pythons outside, that is like the temperatures that they're exposed to are just so random.
Yeah, it's pretty bananas. They kind of just deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, one day their basking spot might be 107 degrees with an ambient temperature of 92, and then that it might rain, and that night it's down at 74 degrees.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and so it's like, I don't know, like getting really obsessed with parameters and everything, I think is just undue stress for the keeper. And I think it can end up taking enjoyment out of keeping the animals.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like you said, there's quite a bit of variation in nature. So kind of those fluctuations are actually what animals key in on. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily thrive with the same thing constantly. Especially if you're looking to reproduce or cycle an animal correctly, change is essentially everything, right? So that there's a lot of truth to that in that regard.
Yeah, and I think that it's so funny. I had I wish I could go back and smack myself in the face. I had a Dumeral's boa that wasn't feeding, and it was young, and apparently that's kind of par for the course. And I probably could have kept it differently. If I had it now, I'd definitely be keeping it differently than I did then. But I remember going on a Facebook group and being like, yeah, my hot spot is, whatever, 84 degrees or something, which is the recommended, like everybody's saying, yeah, your hot spot should be 84. And then, somebody's like, oh, well, there's your problem. It should be, 83 degrees. And it's like, to think that 1 degree difference would make that animal feed or not feed, like shame on the people that, say things like that. It's total nonsense. And that's where, like, you can get easily so frustrated being on Facebook groups. Some of them, there's so many good ones, but man, there are some where the people are just they're just not helpful, and they're not going to help you take better care of your animal.
Yeah. Straight up, potentially even harmful too. Right. I mean, 83, 84, that's like very, very close. You know what I'm saying? It's more so like hot, cold. Like, is there a gradient? Is there thermoregulation? Like, numbers are sort of arbitrary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of how we quantify things as like hairless chimpanzees. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that temperature difference would honestly be like
negligible.
Yeah, you're not even going to be able to feel that. And I honestly, if I would have just taken that snake and put it in a tub, I probably would have been better off.
Yeah, probably would have felt more secure, especially if it was really small and just like a little chicken nugget. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. It was a little chicken nugget.
It was just a chicken nugget. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, next question. This is Bro Gravy. What Bro Gravy? Yeah, I don't know Bro Gravy, but shout out to Bro Gravy. What species did you learn of and fall in love with because of this podcast?
Boy, what species? I think that there's two.
Okay.
The Argentine boas, Boa constrictor occidentalis, and the diamond pythons.
Yeah, that I definitely was thinking diamond pythons when I was like looking at these questions. I was like, oh, Adam's going to say diamonds. Like, he loves his diamonds.
Yeah. I think it was having Travis Johnson on from Living Legless. He kind of got me interested in the Argentine boas because he really likes them and is passionate about them. And then or maybe I talked to him. I might have talked to him long before I had him on the podcast, and I kind of got interested, and then he ended up coming on. It went in one direction or the other. The diamond pythons, I had zero interest in. And I think I had Roy Stewart on and I said, I'm not interested in those, but we talked about them. And then actually having Brandon Wheeler on and talking about keeping his outside really got me interested in keeping diamonds. And then of course that's who I got my two baby females from was Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, keeping something outside, I would never be able to do that up here. I think that's like a super unique opportunity, especially with like such a cool species. You know what I mean? They can kind of handle it all down there. So I totally understand as to how you could really get interested and obsessed with the diamonds, just because you have the opportunity to kind of provide them with literal nature, just like put them outside, boom, all set.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I've probably said this before, but I am the same distance from the equator in the northern hemisphere as like Queensland, New South Wales is in the southern hemisphere. So our weather is very, very, very similar.
That's pretty cool. I did not know that. If you said that before, maybe I wasn't listening, but that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, maybe I've just said it in my head. I don't know, but
that's good to know.
I know that it's a very close distance wise, and so our winter is very similar to the Australian winter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just kind of I'm apprehensive about winter coming. But I am at the same time, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to figuring out like how to get them insulated, warm hides, whether I'm going to actually heat those hides or if I'm just going to sort of do like a Ron St. Pierre approach with the black mulch bags and just put them over the hide, and those absorb all the heat throughout the day and then kind of radiate it down into the hide. There's a few different directions to go there, but yeah, I think that'll be interesting to figure out. And I mean, and a species that I fell in love with, I mean, the diamonds are so cool, and you've seen the male that I have from David Feinberg. It's
he's just a cool looking snake for sure.
Oh my God, he's just bananas, dude. I stare at his head and I get mesmerized because his eyes like blend into the pattern, and it's just this confusion, and man, it's such a wild pattern.
Yeah, he's super cool looking for sure. And I think that wintertime is going to teach you a lot, especially about what these snakes can and can't handle. And I think that they're going to do surprisingly well for you and be super resilient, just because that's kind of how they are,
Yeah, I was a little nervous. The girls have both gone through sheds outside, but getting this new male, I threw him a small rat, and then he seemed really lethargic, and I'm like, oh no. Like I started getting really worried about him and his health. And sure enough, the next day he was totally opaque. But he went through the whole shed process without a single hiccup, no respiratory issues, nothing of note.
Nice.
He just laid around and chilled. And that was through rainy days, hot days, cloudy days, everything. And then he shed, and he's a hungry monster. He wants to eat all the time. So I gotta, he's actually going to get fed today. It seems like that's the other thing too, is keeping outside. It seems like his metabolism is very fast. I mean, it seems like he burned through that small rat very quickly.
I mean, I feel like that makes sense, right? They're getting all those natural, like rays, all that natural light, all those, all that natural heat. It's also probably wicked hot down there right now. So
wicked hot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's probably super warm. You know what I mean? Like I bet he burned through that no problem.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what you got?
All right. Lost and Found Gardens. So
that's Jamie,
another Patreon member.
Yep.
Did you expect to make as many new friends as you have since starting your podcast?
No, not at all. Not at all. That's I think that's been one of the coolest things, is kind of I I don't even know how like you and I started talking.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm not
I mean,
sure.
it was like a long time ago, though. I
It
feel
was.
like,
It was a bit ago. I don't even know when it was, but it was definitely not recently. Um,
yeah,
I I remember I definitely used to send you a bunch of just like reels of spiders doing spider stuff, and you'd be like, "Dude, that's kind of absurd." And I'd be like, "Yeah, but look at this. I have one."
yeah, yeah. It's been. I mean, there's a lot of people that I talk with regularly, or message with, however you want to
Mhm.
say it. And then just, having people on the podcast, at the end of the episode so frequently, I'm just like, oh, I have a new friend now, somebody that I can reach out and talk to.
Yeah, it's they're always having that resource of another individual who is keeping something that you keep, or maybe something totally different. Like great resource to reach out to. Really builds your network.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just the Discord too is like
Yeah, totally.
it's a fun environment where, I mean, there's always conversations going on, and it's like you don't have to read them all, but you can pop in and join into the conversation, and yeah, it's just
It's fairly positive. I would agree.
yeah, yeah. I think it's
Very
very
positive.
positive,
Right.
and but yeah, it's been I think the reptile community is, at least with the people I interact with, is one of the best communities, filled with some of the most helpful and kind people out there.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Just staying kind of in a good part of that, in a good part of that atmosphere, that corner, and
Yeah.
I guess hanging or interacting with people that keep similar stuff and have like interests. I feel like it's only natural to build those relationships.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, Jamie says what? I'm like a golden retriever. I just want to be friends with everybody. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
excited
true.
to
You're a
talk to
pretty nice
people.
guy. You're a pretty nice guy too. You're pretty chill. It's super easy to talk to. I would say for the most part. So yeah, I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I don't think I've made too many enemies on like social media or anything
No, I
aside
think you're
from,
doing pretty good.
there's like one guy that free handles venomous snakes that I think blocked me. And,
Oh yeah, I definitely heard about that guy. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
aside from him,
He's not that cool though, so I'm not too
yeah,
worried about it.
I think I have a pretty stellar, track record.
Yeah, shoot, you bet. Yeah, shoot 100. Um, okay. Next question is from Yuki, um, another Patreon member. What is your herpetocultural future plan, like in 5 years from now? With like potential breeding plans, etc.
5 years from now.
Yeah, 2030 type time frame.
I hope I'm one step closer to or decorating my snake building by then. I don't
Okay.
know.
All right.
You
That's
know,
something. There you go.
yeah, that would be cool. Shoot, by then I hope that I will have successfully bred a couple species. Uh, I mean, I'm hoping that by then I will have reproduced maybe some spotted pythons, my Argentine boa. Maybe I'd be working on reproducing the Timor pythons. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's it's so hard to say. If you would have asked me a year ago if if I'd still have a reptile podcast, I would have said I don't know. Because I would have only just been producing like episode 1 or 2. So it's so hard to tell. I mean, uh, you know, life kind of takes you in some really bizarre directions. Uh, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, a lot can happen in not a lot of time, right? Stuff can happen in a month. Stuff can happen in a year. Um, so I totally hear you. I hope you get a reptile building too, dude. That would be sweet.
Yeah, I really want it. I want it just for the room to be able to add a couple more different snakes that I really want to have long term.
For sure.
I'm not in a huge hurry though either, so and when that comes, I know that that's going to take a long time between delivery of the building to getting the sink plumbed in and electrical done and drywall and flooring and
it's a whole shebang. That's a whole deal, man. That's a process in itself.
Yep.
And then, learning that room as well, just like, you kind of know the fluctuations and stuff of your current space. There's always some hiccups in that regard when you move to a new space and how you cool it and how you heat it, etc.
Yeah. And I'm even, so what I want to do is I want to get a 38-foot long by 14-foot wide building, and have a wall put in and have that area be like the incubation / washroom with a dishwasher and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then initially I was just going to have a whole big snake area, but now I'm wondering if I should have another wall put in and have 2 mini splits to be able to control the temperature in both rooms, so have the snakes that want a more consistent warm temperature throughout the year in one room, and then have the other room where snakes get cooled during the winter.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something to think about. I like that idea of having 2 mini splits. It could also allow you to keep some colubrids, maybe, right? God forbid. Right. I know. What am I? I'm asking a lot. I know. My bad, dude. I shouldn't have brought it up.
We're done for today.
Yeah. Sorry,
thanks
guys.
for coming on.
My bad. I shouldn't have said it.
I want colubrids. It's just,
you're getting there. You still got to get your feet wet,
Yeah. Yeah. I need to get like a black milk snake or something.
Black milk snakes are sweet, dude. They're super cool.
Super cool.
Okay, so next question is from Trap Talk God 619. How does it feel to keep your reptiles outside?
Oh, well, that's cool. Thanks, MJ, for putting in a question. It feels awesome. It feels, at first it was scary, and now it's like one of my favorite things. It's, because they're on my back patio, so I can just walk up to that sliding glass door and just look out at them whenever I want. I can look at them during a rainstorm. I can look at them when it's, I usually before I go to bed, I flip the light on and just check on them real quick. And they're usually like cruising around.
Ooh, that's super cool. Yeah. Just kind of see what they're up to right before bed, and they're outside.
Yeah. Ooh. So it's awesome. I mean, MJ should be keeping snakes outside. He's in the right climate, so I hope more people that can do it start doing it, because I think that it's really popular in Australia. Like a lot of the guys that keep diamond pythons in Australia do it outside. They have tons of caging outside, and I just think it's super cool and it's fun to watch, and you get to see your animals in a whole different light, literally.
Whoa, nice. Yeah, no, it does sound very interesting, right? Where I live, it's not really conducive to that, but it does sound super interesting. Watching you do it, right? Living vicariously through you is very interesting, right? Just because I see your stories and, whatever you send me of your diamond pythons noodling around outside. I definitely think that it presents a new set of challenges, because you got to keep your animal in the cage and you got to keep whatever's outside of the cage. I mean, you got to kind of weatherproof the cage. It's a whole new ball game. So I think that, it's like a new puzzle to solve, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is definitely like it would be terrible for like if a rat chewed a hole and went inside that cage. It'd be terrible for the rat to bite the snake, and I don't want my snakes eating wild rats.
Right.
Right. And I basically have to treat them like they are quarantined animals for the rest of their existence.
Correct. Yeah, because they're they're exposed. So
yeah, I mean, they could get pentastomes. They could get any number of bugs, and they might pick something up and I would never even know that they have it, you know, because they're out there, they're getting the UV, they're living life, you know. But if I were to bring them inside, or if I were to bring that pathogen inside and give it to one of my animals in an enclosed space, it might spell certain death.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely not for everyone, but if done correctly, it can be cool as hell. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Okay. This question is by Symbiote420. What is your dream species?
What is my dream species? The Burmese python.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Complicated answer, Adam.
Yeah.
It's a very complicated answer. Do you want to elaborate a little bit?
I mean, they're just such a cool snake. If I could have one, I would have one right now. I wouldn't have a pair. I would have a normal. Mm-hmm. I would have just one animal. I don't care. Well, probably a female. I don't know. Well, I don't know. You know, I don't know. Maybe a male. Who knows? But it would. They're just such a cool, huge, chill python, and I think that, you know, I would absolutely get a kick out of that. You know, and it would be awesome to construct an enclosure, like literally frame it out to look like it's part of the house, you know, like,
oh, that'd be sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that dude in Germany, I can never remember his name. I don't know if you've seen any of his videos, but he's got this giant walk-in enclosure with like a small pond in it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I see stuff like that and I'm like, man, that would be epic. But yeah, I mean, I'd like,
we plumbed it too. Oh man, with the pond, you could just like, you know, water changes would be so easy. Oh, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it's not a possibility in Florida right now. Who knows? Maybe at some point there will be, you know, a rule change or something like that. I know that that's, you know, it's probably less than 0.01% chance of ever happening. But yeah, that's I think that's my dream species, you know, and maybe it's just my dream species because I can't have it, and I'm okay with that.
But you know what? A kid can dream, man. You got it. Hey. Keep dreaming, dude. My fingers and toes are crossed for you.
Literally dreaming big. You know?
Huge. Okay, next question is from Jeff Croce.
Love Jeff.
When you breed, will you do MI or AI? Artificial incubation, not artificial intelligence. And what will decide
that? Maternal intelligence.
Yeah, maternal. Yeah.
I hate to say this, but I'm probably gonna do artificial incubation.
Yeah. I feel the same way. It's just a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, my anxiety gets the best of me. And I know that, you know, a lot of people say, you know, that maybe it's wrong for us to think that we can do it better than nature, but I don't feel like there's anything natural about what I'm doing inside here. I think it's a controlled environment.
Space, yeah.
And I want to try it at some point, but I think in the beginning, I think I'll probably do artificial incubation. And if I lose a clutch because of that, I can definitively say I messed it up. You know, I dropped the ball and it was because of X, Y, or Z reason. If I do maternal incubation and I were to lose a clutch, I'd be saying, I don't know what happened, you know, and you know, it's just, yeah, I don't know. For right now, you know, and me being as inexperienced as I am with reproducing snakes, I want to have as much control as I possibly can have. And so it's going to be AI.
Yeah, I think that's not unreasonable at all. You want to get your feet wet, get a couple clutches in, feel good about it. Then maybe you try MI later down the line.
And did you did AI with your short tail pythons,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, I did. I just honestly like it's if you get a nice like I have a sea serpents incubator. I actually have two. They're a little pricey, but if you get a nice like well made incubator or you DIY one, like I don't know, man. I had a lot of control over the temperature, a lot of control over the airflow, really everything. I could control, and it was the hardest part was just waiting and just watching them.
Mm. How much was that, if you don't mind my asking?
Ooh, maybe it was like 750, $800 for one of the 24 ones, 25, maybe it's 24, 25 inches tall. It's like the little box one, and I have two stacked up on each other in the other
Okay.
room. Yeah.
And you're happy with that?
Yeah. I mean, I went 17 for 17 with a clutch of short tail python, eggs, blood pythons. Right now
Nice.
I've got an orange baboon tarantula in one with Formicocylus haiti sac, and then I actually have a Histocrates gigas in the other one because I'm pretty sure it's wild caught, and I just want to see what happens when I heat it up a little bit. Yeah, I think they're awesome. The airflow is sweet. It has like a computer fan and everything. It really it's a good system. It's bulletproof. I think it's worth the money in my opinion.
Mm.
I know it's pricey, but I'll always use them. I'll always use the Sea Serpents incubator.
Nice. Yeah, it's interesting seeing like people do the I know on the Discord there was the conversation of the like the igloo cooler, set up, and I've seen people do the soda.
Yeah, you can do it, and it's super no problem. I just like you, like I'm an anxious dude, and like
Yeah.
if I was like, damn, I just put all this time into my first clutch. I'd really like them to hatch. God forbid something happened. My incubator construction was poorly done because I am not that handy. Like I don't have, that's not my cup of tea, right? I would feel very responsible for that. That's why like, you spend, in my opinion, I spent a little bit more on the incubators, and they're very consistent and reliable.
Mm. Yeah, and then you got your guys that are on the whole other level, like Ryan Young, who's got he's got a walk-in incubator.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not there. I'm not that cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's like,
He's got sliding glass
yeah,
doors.
yeah, no, that he's a goat. Like, I'm not, that's goat status stuff. I
I
don't
think
have that.
JD McLean has a walk-in incubator as well,
That's
which
like
is super cool.
super baller. Like, just yeah, it's my incubator room. No big deal. We can go incubate with the eggs. Like, let me go check out the incubator room. Yeah, I mean, you got a sauna, so you can make it work, right? You just put your eggs
Oh
in the
yeah,
sauna. Yeah, you got a walk-in incubator just for people, right?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, perfect.
I don't know.
Okay.
Is 220 too hot?
It might be 220 might be a little bit warm. If you might want to take that down to like 215, 210, and I think
Yeah. All right.
it should work out.
Should speed up the gestation time, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this is another question from Ish. If you could only keep one species, what would it be?
Oh.
Now I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is like, not taking into consideration the law. So like if you were like, if you could have a dream species or one species that was reasonably attainable, and then also one that like if you were like, oh, I want a retic or something, you know what I mean? Or like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna take that as if I could only keep one species, for me being me in Florida.
Correct. That's yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I would probably do the Argentine boas.
Yeah.
Just because, like, if somebody told me right now, like, hey, you got to rehome your entire collection and you can only keep one snake, I know what snake that's going to be. That's going to be Nagini, my Argentine boa.
Yeah. I think that's a good answer, dude. She's pretty cool looking, and she's huge.
Yeah. Yours would be Daniel Craig, right?
I don't know, dude. It might be the Crebo, my male Crebo, Kirby the Crebo. He's my
Oh, really?
buddy. Yeah, he's my buddy, dude. I could just like open the door and he'll just come out and hang out. We're like
Yeah.
good friends. So like I don't know, I'd be really kicking myself if I had to give him to someone else, or maybe. Well, we're talking snakes, right? Because
Yeah.
obviously I'd have to keep the turtle, dude. He doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, we're like this,
Yeah.
Okay. Next question from DJM Reptiles. Is
That's
there
old Dennis McNamara.
mhm. Is there any piece of advice you have gotten from a guest that completely changed your style? I'm assuming he means keeping style, not like how you dress. That's yeah.
Well, he did send me a shirt and I have worn it. So he changed my style.
Wow. Influential. It's influential.
Boy, oh boy. Maybe, yeah, that's a tough one. There's been, there's no like examples that really jump out and smack me in the face. I would definitely say that, talking to, Brandon Wheeler and Ron St. Pierre made me want to keep snakes outside, which I think that is a very different style of keeping.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's like it's weird. It's like there's little tidbits of information that you kind of pick up as you're going along. And it's like small incremental changes, I think, that end up leading to larger overall changes in the way you keep,
Yeah, totally. I was going to say maybe it's like, you're kind of learning an amalgamation of tips and tricks from, maybe a little bit here, a little bit there as you kind of talk to new people, or different people, depending on what they keep, what you're talking about. Maybe you'll get into something new in the future too. You know what I mean? Maybe you're like, oh, I really want to keep a bunch of tarantulas,
Yeah, that's not going to happen, but
I'm trying, I'm working for it.
Yeah, it is. I think the, like one big thing that, yeah, I don't know. I think, you know what, like everybody keeps so differently too that, whenever I have somebody on, I try to respect the way that they keep as the way that they keep, and not like if I tried to adopt everybody's different technique of keeping, I'd be all over the place,
Yeah, well, so it also really has to do with where people are located. Where do they live? Is it in an apartment building? Is it in a home? Do they have their snake room in a basement? What state or country do they live in? How warm is it? How cold is it? Like, you kind of have to get the rhythm of the room going in order to, see how things work. And what works for someone else probably won't work for you 100%. You'll probably have to change it just a little bit just to kind of fit your space,
Yeah. I mean, I've had guests on that say, I never missed my enclosures. And then I've had other guests on that say, I have a misting system that miss it multiple times a day. Right. And one of them might be in a humid environment or a better temperature controlled environment. The other might be in a more, arid environment, and then I've talked to people that said, misting can be, problematic. So I just pour water directly into the substrate and mix it around. And that's how I humidify.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like, and for me, like if I were to do that, cause I did do that, I ended up, I don't know if I overdid it or what, but I ended up with, kind of like this funky bacterial growth. Like I could smell a difference. So I don't know if I just did too much. With me being where I am, my, oh my God, my snake is, oh, you can't see her. What is she doing? She's She just wants to get out, and she's like flopping around like a noodle. It's hilarious.
Yeah, both my Cribos do that when they want to come hang out.
But yeah, so yeah, I think that, you know, like I missed my enclosures like twice a week, and I enjoy it. Some of the snakes seem to like being misted, other ones seem to despise it, so you know, I just avoid them. But also I like the look of a dripping wet enclosure, you know, and
ooh, okay.
you know, I think that it looks cool. I usually, like, I have the slate placemats that are under the basking lamps, and I will spray those down vigorously. So then there's a lot of the relative humidity goes way up in the enclosure because it's evaporating that off.
Yeah.
You know, and something Ish told me that I think was really good advice was, if you're misting, you want that to be like dried. You want it to be like, you don't want water droplets to still be there within like a little bit.
Yeah, it's got to dissipate. You know, you're not soaking it. You know what I mean? You're just misting it. So, like you said.
Yeah, I mean that, and like I have a 2-gallon mister. You know, it's like one of the like a bug poison sprayer.
Yeah. I just picked one of those up, like the electric type deal. You just press the button.
Dude, I need to get an electric one. Mine is hand pump.
Yeah, you're really behind on the times, dude. I scooped an electric one, and I water my entire turtle's lawn in a fraction of the time, Adam.
Really?
It pays for itself, man. It was like $22. So yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I need to splurge on that. I think I spent like $9.88 on mine. So.
Yeah, definitely splurge.
But I go through 2 gallons of water misting all of my enclosures.
Wow. Yeah, that's so to me that's banana land. Like, I would only ever miss an enclosure if someone is in shed really bad, or like really deep in shed, you know what I mean? And with the short tails and the pythons, I never miss them. I just pour water like on the paper in the back. Most of the time I'll put a huge water dish in the enclosure, where part of that water dish is under the heat panel or the light. And that's going to create that, you know, ambient humidity with, just like as heat is dissipated, you know what I mean?
Yeah. My problem is that like my relative humidity in the house is, I think, like probably 38 to 42%.
Yeah. Mine's 41% in this room.
Oh, okay. So we're about the same.
Yeah.
But I just go through and like this room I'm in right now has a humidifier in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting at 48% with that running.
Nice.
But I just go through the enclosures. I don't know. I like spraying them down. It's never a lot. And that 2 gallons goes between, you know, this and then, so 1, 2, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 enclosures, I think.
It's pretty good. You know, it's not bad at all. And, you know, nothing wrong with spraying. You know, like I said, I do it more so for some of the enclosures that I have plants growing in. But I think it's definitely useful to spray, you know, when it's appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Next question. By Markham Reptiles. Why don't you talk about the journey of starting and building a podcast?
So is he asking why I don't talk about it, or is he saying, why don't you talk about that?
I think he's saying, why don't you talk about that? And you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how I read it. Open to interpretation. You're kind of the boss here. So, you know.
Do you ever like look back on something and you don't like thinking about it because of what a monumental task it was and how much anxiety it gave you?
Yeah, graduate school.
Okay. So
yep.
That sounds legitimately terrible.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So it wasn't a fun experience. For me, and I think it's just because of my sort of anxious nature.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of me talking myself out of it, and then my wife backing me up, and telling me to pursue it.
That's
And
good. I'm glad she did.
yeah, that happened numerous times where I would say, I'm going to do this. And she'd say, okay. And then I'd start pushing forward, and it took a long time to actually get started. And it took a lot of money. And I don't think, like, if anybody wants to start a podcast, I don't think you have to do it that way, but that's what I did, like sorting out what it's going to look like where I'm at, and, getting the lighting and the audio equipment and the computer. My brother-in-law, shout out to Chris. He built my computer. I got all the components and he actually built it. And it was just like a lot of money and time. And I remember just feeling like I was never going to actually, record anything, because it was like the startup was just dragging. And then I remember reaching out to people and trying to get them on the show and kind of getting shot down, which was very discouraging. And then finding people like Dr. Warren Booth and Matt Minatola, and all these people that are like, yeah, I'll do it, and people that and Nick and Ryan, like all these people that said like, yeah, I'll come on, even though they knew exactly what I was, that I'm an idiot, that I'm, I have no, I have nothing to back me up. I have no, I'm just kind of a curious person. And yeah, so there was just so much uncertainty and like just wanting to quit over and over and over again. And my wife just continuing to kind of push me in that direction, and then finally actually starting it up. And folks like, Kenny Gall, who was my first guest. And, I remember I was just like, I need to just record something, because then at that point I had the anxiety of just recording. Right. And I remember hitting him up and being like, you want to do a podcast tomorrow? And
I'm sure it sounded just like that.
Just like, yeah, because I was going through puberty a year ago. And, but yeah, and he agreed and he came on, and, my battery died halfway through, and I had to change batteries, and now I have a, continuous power supply to the camera, and, all these things went wrong. I think, so yeah, it's just a lot of, it was a lot of
growing pains.
Yeah. A lot of gut punches and audio not being right, and learning what settings need to be utilized, and editing. And yeah, it's just like so many things that I'm not the type of person to look back either and fondly reminisce over many things. I prefer looking forward and focusing on what I'm doing right now. And right now I'm sitting here talking to you, Phil, and we're doing this AMA, and it's a lot of fun, and now it's just routine. There hasn't really been too many weekends that I haven't sat down and recorded something. So my experience now is so much different than what it was a year ago. And I mean that in the best way possible. I really enjoy it now, because it's just a lot more fun to not have the anxiety or the need to learn all these new things, that just put this really heavy weight on it. It's just more free and fun now.
Yeah, you definitely got the ball rolling, and like I said, there's growing pains with anything, right? Especially with keeping animals, your first snake ever, right? You probably kept that different back then than you would today. I know I did.
Yeah.
So, kind of drawing a parallel to that experience, and, definitely shout out to your wife for continuing to support you. That's a really good, that's a good human to have in your life. And, I'm definitely glad that you continued to strive to make the content, because I quite commonly listen to this when I'm at work, and I really enjoy it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Okay. So the next question is from Oceana Exotics. Where do you see the hobby going in the next 5 years? Trends, species, husbandry, etc.
I don't know. It's who knows. It seems like people are zeroing in more on what they're really passionate about.
Yeah.
It seems like there's less of a, I don't know, like the whole ball python like breeding craze and everything kind of seems like it's really dialed down, and it seems like people are kind of shifting gears and changing their collections and yeah, I don't know. I think that I hope here's I can tell you where I hope it goes in 5 years.
Yeah, no, I'll hear that. I'll listen. I'll listen, Adam.
I hope that everybody is as kind as they possibly can be to each other in the hobby.
All right.
And I hope that we can all understand where we're coming from, and that we can be more empathetic as keepers and hobbyists and continue to be as helpful as possible to each other, and, sort of understand that everybody is going to keep differently, and that the welfare of the animal is the primary concern, is that they have fresh water and a clean cage or enclosure, however you want to say it. I know cage doesn't sound great. But that's what I want. That's where I hope it goes. I hope people just keep getting cooler. I think that there's already, like we already talked about it, and I think that there's already so many cool people that keep out there and helpful people. And I hope that people just keep being cool and charitable and kind to one another. And, yeah, that's what I want to see as a trend.
What a wholesome answer, Adam. That was well said, well spoken. I couldn't say it better myself. I think that people are moving towards smaller, more focused collections. I think that they're moving towards upping their husbandry for each animal. I think it's more of like a enclosure type. They're moving in that direction as opposed to walls of tubs and racks. Yeah. Not to say that, racks don't have their place, but I totally agree with what you were saying.
Yeah. And it's funny you say more focused collection. And I think I have the least focused collection of anybody I know.
No. I get you beat, dude. I got flipping Nerodia over here. Okay. And short-tail pythons in the same room. Think about that.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. I can't, I understand the want to be focused, but I like too many things to have a focused collection. I don't know. That's how I think about it. I get a little bit of everything.
So I actually don't want to be focused.
Yeah, I think I would get bored. That's my problem.
Yeah, well, so I've got, it's kind of, yeah, like I want to stay interested and engaged for sure. And that interest and engagement that I have with one species or another is going to translate to all my animals, right?
I'd hope so, yeah.
But I feel like I actually want to own as many genuses. Geni? It's genuses.
I don't know. That's a NESERG question.
Geni?
I don't know.
Damn it.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah. Well, either way, I want to have as many. I mean, you'd say species, right? You don't say species.
Sure. Yeah, species. Yeah, man. Nah, that's good with me. I'll let it slide.
So genuses?
Genie.
Genius. Either way.
A bunch of different stuff.
I want to have I like having as, like, I am super excited that I just added Liasis to my collection. Mm-hmm. I'm super excited that I have short-tail pythons.
I would be super
yeah. Yeah, like I'm super excited that I have jungle carpet pythons. I'm super excited that I have diamond pythons. Like all these, like I really want to add a scrub python. I want to get some is it Somalia or Somalia? Somalia. All right. I've heard people say it different ways.
Yeah, I don't know. You could kind of do whatever floats your boat, right?
Yeah. So I want to get some more I want to acquire some Somalia at some point. Not in a hurry, but I want to. I'd like to maybe, I don't know. I sometimes I think about, Woma pythons, like I think about just getting all these different genuses or geni and just and just, because I feel like the more diverse it is, the more I can learn about snakes.
I was gonna say keeping a diverse collection really forces you to pay attention, and you really become a better keeper. I think that, getting stuff with potentially different needs kind of forces you to think differently, and that's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. This is another Jeff question. What's been the toughest part of having a successful podcast and Patreon, etc.?
Well, I'm flattered that he would call it successful.
I'd say it's successful. I'd say I would use that word and that adjective, if you will.
Well, thank you. I'll take it as a compliment.
Okay.
For sure. So thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Phil.
Of course.
Let's see. I think I'm online too much. I think that's the toughest part.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm online too much. I have a vacation coming up, and I'm really looking forward to completely unplugging for a little bit.
Oh, that'll be good. That'll be good for you, for some headspace. Just kind of do your own thing.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think that the toughest part is in my opinion just being online a lot, and sometimes it's like, you have a really busy day at work, and then you kind of feel like you're obligated to get on and answer messages. And obviously I jump on the Discord. I'm pretty sure you guys don't even need me on the Discord anymore though. I
don't know. Cause I'm pretty sure it's your Discord, right? So we do need you, right? Cause then it's like, whose Discord is this?
Well, but that's the cool thing, right? Is that I feel like it's not my Discord anymore. I feel like it's the Patreon's Discord. It's everybody's Discord, so that's kind of cool, is that, it's like you guys have awesome conversations and everything. And I get to just like go in and read them sometimes at the end of the day, if I've had a busy day at work, where I haven't been able to be on my phone. But yeah, I think that's probably the toughest part, is finding the balance between work and family and podcast and, physical fitness and taking care of myself and the dog and the animals and, like all that is finding that balance. And I think I'm, this is another place where I have to, give so much credit to my wife for doing all the things she does to allow me to do the things that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that, again, shout out to your wife. There's a lot of moving parts with life, right? Both in and out of the reptile hobby, online, offline, taking care of the animals, stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of truth to what you're saying, especially, being able to just catch up on messages after a long day. I think that's kind of almost nice to kind of just scroll through and just kind of see what's going on, what other people are talking about, and believe it or not, learn from what they're saying, listen to what they're saying, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless it's Nisarg talking.
Right. We don't even listen to him. Yeah, poor guy.
scroll on by, give it a
Yep.
thumbs down or a frowny
Yeah,
face
definitely
emoji, and
the
just move on.
crying emoji. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
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 So this is the last question here, by Aussie Arboreals. What is your favorite Australian species and why? And how do you plan on keeping / housing that species?
Oh, well, I mean, this goes this goes right back to the diamond
Yeah, I was
pythons.
gonna say.
Yeah. So that's Jason Patterson. Thanks
Okay.
for that great question.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I would have to say, I don't know. It's really hard. I love Australian species. You
They're
know,
cool.
I love Morelia. I love my jungle carpet pythons. I love Antaresia. I love, my maculosa, my spotted pythons. Uh, I think that they're some of the coolest snakes out there. And yeah, so, but I guess I would have to say, like, if I had to pick one Australian species, it would probably be the diamond pythons. They're so cool, and yeah, I'm enjoying keeping them outside. I don't think I'll ever keep them inside. I think that they really need the that cool down period. And with me being in a southern state as close to the equator as I am, I'm not going to be able to give it that cool down period indoors. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
like, I hear people say like, oh yeah, this room isn't insulated and it goes down to, 50 degrees at night or something. So I put my diamonds there for the winter and stuff, like you hear how people keep them, and I would never be in that situation where I'd be able to do that indoors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be, I would say, yeah, it's diamond pythons, and it's diamond pythons outside.
Yeah, I am not surprised at all. I think that, obviously you're super interested in them, and just keeping them outside is just another kind of cherry to add on top. You know what I mean? Just like the little extra
Mm-hmm.
bonus, like, wow, these animals are crazy.
Yeah, they are. They are so crazy, and I can't. It's like the females that I have, watching those mature is going to be awesome. Watching them get their adult coloration. They're two very different looking animals. They have two
Mm-hmm.
very different, distinct looks, and I'm hoping that they'll keep trending in that direction as they age.
Yeah, it'll be super cool to go, to kind of watch them go through that OCC,
Yeah,
and change and grow. It's, kind of the best part of this whole thing we're doing. Is watch the growth over time.
yeah, absolutely. How do you like Morelia so far?
So, I mean, the jungle you sent me is doing well. I don't really interact with her much because she's in quarantine. Um, but she's pretty cool. I definitely am going to set her up in my office where it gets really cold. Not really cold, but colder than my my snake room. And I'm going to give her like a decent sized cage with like. I'm very excited to use a basking bulb and kind of watch that behavior, that thermoregulation of how they move about the gradient. I think they're pretty cool, man. She's definitely different, a lot different than what I have kept in the past, with like the exception of the water pythons that I currently have. But um, I think they're really cool so far. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, Morelia is awesome. I'm glad you have one now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely I've definitely caught myself looking at males. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, it could be something to consider for the future.
Nice. And what are you planning on doing for enclosure size?
I I gotta see, because I gotta move some bookshelves. Like right now, that whole area is like set up as like quarantine spot number one, and then quarantine spot number two is in a different room. So I'm thinking probably 4x2x2s, um, at least, and then I'll kind of see. I gotta look at the space I have and look what I can do. But I'm thinking probably 4x2x2s.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah,
Have
just
a
to
nice
watch them do snake stuff. You know what I mean? It's they're really interesting to kind of just, especially at night. She's always cruising and stuff like you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a very active snake. They're very fun to watch. It's kind of like the Bloods when I take them out to clean their tub. Like I can literally put them on the floor and they're like, "This will do. This is fine. I don't have to
Yeah.
move."
So some of mine are like that. Like my Sumatrans are like that, and my Pollens are like that. My big T positive female will, like Penelope, she's always trying to like maneuver about. I can't just like sit and leave her somewhere because she'll be like trying to snoof around and do snake stuff. So, I guess each snake has its own personality, but I'd say probably 90% of my short tails will just sit.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, this was fun. We did our first AMA, and yeah, I hope we do another one down the road.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And I had obviously I had a blast hanging out.
Hell yeah, man! It was great having you on. Goodbye.
Bye.
No, I'm kidding.
I was like, wait, what the?